Hello, everyone, and welcome into another episode of the Crimson Flame podcast. I am your host, Katie Windham. We are a weekly podcast discussing all things women's athletics at the University of Alabama, and I'm excited you're here for another episode. We get started each week with a recap of the previous week in women's athletics for the Crimson Tide. So, volleyball went 1-1 last week. They beat Arkansas on the road 3-1 on Wednesday, but then lost 3-0 at Oklahoma on Friday. So they're now 11-12 overall and 3-10 in SEC play. Women's basketball went 2-0 on the week with wins over McNeese State and Alcorn State. The McNeese game was pretty ugly for a while before they finally pulled away, and they scored over 90 points against Alcorn State, so they kind of got the offense going a little more, which is encouraging to see as they continue through their non-conference slate. Swim and dive split at the tri-meet in Baton Rouge with Florida State and LSU, losing to LSU but beating Florida State. And then on Monday, soccer found out its NCAA tournament seeding as an 8 seed. Will host the opening round of the NCAA tournament in Tuscaloosa, which leads perfectly into today's interview. I'm so excited to be joined this week by former Alabama soccer team captain Kat Rogers. She played at Alabama from 2018 to 2022 and was team captain on that team that was the first in program history to make the College Cup, the Final Four. And so we'll get into a little bit of that, keys to postseason success, Kat's journey, all that kind of stuff. So with that, let's get into the interview. I'm so excited to be joined by Kat Rogers, former Alabama soccer captain. She played for the Crimson Tide from 2018 to 2022. Kat, thanks so much for joining me.
Thanks for having me on.
So, give the people a little bit of your background with Alabama soccer. Kind of when did it come into the picture for you, and how did you end up in Tuscaloosa?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. So soccer recruiting in high school starts a little early. And so about eighth grade, ninth grade is when I just started being like, okay, where do I want to go? Where would be a cool spot? Ended up seeing Alabama come to a game at a showcase and it was like, oh, like, I wanted that college experience where
Mhm.
it's like big football, big, college town. You don't get much bigger than Alabama. And so sent an email to Wes and from there, ended up going to an ID camp, made relationships with the coaches there, kind of stayed in contact, and then committed going into my junior year. And so for me, I wanted to go to a program that was building. I didn't want to go to a spot that had already been established and you were just kind of like another one coming through the program. One thing that Wes really sold me on and was a big personal thing for me as I looked for a college program was come be part of, building something that, you could say, hey, look where we took it from here to here. And so he was still a newer coach at the time. I was actually my class was his first like full recruiting class, and
Mhm.
so felt like I really got to come in and be a part of building with him. And so that was a huge draw for me to Bama, and then ended up there fall of 2018. And so that was kind of the start of everything.
You talked about it, you kind of set me up perfectly, a program that wanted to build. Um, your first season, I think y'all won two SEC games, and by your last year, y'all didn't lose an SEC game. So, how did the program
Yeah.
get from where it was to where y'all were able to get in 2022, winning the SEC regular season title and making the College Cup?
Yeah. Oh my goodness. I think my last year people kept calling us an overnight success. And I was like, this is the longest night of my life, if that's the case. Where, yeah, I mean, again, what really drew me to Bama was that Wes was building a program, right? It's, hey, we weren't great when I got recruited there, right? I wasn't going for the fact that I thought that we would ever reach, the spots that we did. But loved the vision behind it. And it took a lot of bumps and bruises and turns and I got to be there during COVID, and so navigating all that craziness, and so it was just a lot of as we lay down the foundation of what do we want our culture to be like, what do we want people that come in, what is that standard of Alabama soccer, what does that look like? It looks like grit, it looks like blue collar ball, it looks like we had this word by last year where it was called hunt, right? It's like when someone plays us, like they're feeling like they're getting hunted down whenever they have the ball, right? It's like creating that similar vernacular allowed us to kind of have this tight knit culture. And so again, it takes a lot of bumps and bruises. And as with any family, as you're making a family out of your soccer team, like there are times where you bump heads and you have to go through. I don't like how you do this, and I don't like how they do that, and navigating those waters. But as we did, COVID honestly served as a catalyst, which is kind of crazy because a lot of times, people look back at COVID and be like, oh man, like that was a hard, kind of took us down a peg. Really for us, that COVID year that fall, we really kind of got to address a lot of the things that needed to be addressed at that time as a team and together. And then from there, we had some graduating seniors, we had some people choose to hit the transfer portal. And so going into the spring, that COVID season got split into two basically mini seasons, right?
Mhm.
So we played 10 games in the fall, about 8 games in the spring. And during those spring games, we had 13 players for, soccer's not 11, players on the field at the time. We had 13 to be able to play. And in those moments, it's where that core group got really, really tight. Because at that point, it's not, oh, I'm trying to go for playing time or I'm trying to, do whatever. It took a lot of the me out of it. And it was like, oh, shoot, we've got 13 players and we need to figure out how to produce on the field. And so in those times is really where that core group got solidified. And it was really cool because that group ended up becoming our upperclassmen in my senior year and my fifth year, which I was fortunate enough to get 5 years at Bama. And so that's really what kind of served as that catalyst going in because we were like, okay, we did hard things together, right? And then it is that true statement that, adversity really forges that family and it really makes you decide, am I going to go all in? Each person decide, do I care about the team more than I care about me? And are we going to do this together? And that's kind of what our culture ended up shifting into. And it really did turn into, by the time that I had my last year, it was the most fun I've ever had playing soccer in my life, hands down. It was the definition of a family. We're going out there and we didn't expect to do what we got to do. We just wanted to go be the best we could be. And end of the day, it felt like I'm going out with my friends and we're playing soccer and oh shoot, we're kind of making moves right now, right? We're kind of getting good at this. But a lot of that, it wasn't just this like, oh, I'm gonna, snap my fingers and now
Mhm.
we're great. It was a lot of highs and lows, a lot of you know, having to create those relationships. I think everything in life is a relationships business, and it's the same with sport where you get to see it. You got to trust each other to play well together, and it took about 5 years to get to where we were at that trust level to where now, okay, we can go produce on the field at the level we did, and it was a ton of fun getting to do it.
Yeah, you talk about y'all didn't necessarily expect it. It was just going out there having fun. Maybe at what point was it in that 2022 season that you realized, oh, like we have something pretty special going on here?
Yeah. Couple moments come to mind. I knew I'm going to take us back actually to my traditional senior year was going to be uh, fall of 2021.
Hmm.
And I had originally been like, oh, I'm going to be done for my senior year. I never really had aspirations to go pro, kind of knew like college was going to be my ending. And I told Wes going into the season, just because as we're looking ahead to players he needs to recruit and all those things, I was like, hey, I don't really see myself coming back, but you get all of me for the next, 6 months. Like I'll give you everything I got. And he's a funny guy and it's kind of like, oh, like, we'll see at the end of the year what you say and all that. And I was like, I was pretty dead set on it. And then we go to the SEC tournament and just something about that team, like it was starting to be like, oh, like something's kind of firing right now. It's special, but it wasn't what I thought what I wasn't hitting like, oh, and we're gonna go do what we did the following
Hmm.
year, right? Walking on the field when we lost. And I was like, oh, I can't leave. Like something cool is about to happen. And so that was kind of the first instance where I was like, okay, maybe. And luckily Wes, let me come back. And I, remember calling him, I was like, I changed my mind. And he's like, okay, great, let's, make this happen. And so um really, that spring was different because everyone just wanted to play and it was cool. Like it was the first time where I really felt like everyone was bought in to want to be all there, like with whatever it was. It was like when we're playing soccer, we're playing soccer, and when we're training and working out and all that stuff. And then uh, summer, you kind of see it's all captain's practice, right? So we get to kind of lead. It's all teams practice. Coaches can't be out there, whatever. And previous years we'd done captain's practices and they were great, they were fun, but it kind of felt like another we just do this kind of thing, whereas like going into that summer it was oh, we want to do this, like we'd be out there for 3 hours all just playing, and it was no one wanted the game to end and it was competitive, and we were the ones all driving that. And so I was kind of like, again, didn't know the level we get to, but I was like, oh, this is going to be a good team because we have those intangibles of no one's making us be out here, but we want to be together and we want to keep training. And it was highly competitive. It was a highly competitive group. And then we beat South Carolina at home
Hmm.
towards the start of our SEC play. And South Carolina is a very good program, historically plays us very well, like just in general.
Hmm.
We beat them 2-0. And I just remember me and Riley Mattingly, she's Riley Parker now. But Riley scored in that game and it was electric. And then I remember her and I walked to the field and we were like, oh, we got something. Like something is gonna like this is good. And again, didn't know it was gonna be a perfect 10-0 season,
Hmm.
which was crazy to even say. Because again, thinking back to 16-year-old Kat, looking at a program and being like, oh yeah, let's build it. Never in my wildest dreams did I think we were gonna get to the level that we did. But I'd say that South Carolina game was when all those little moments of kind of seeing it kind of felt like, oh, now we're doing something. Now this team is a contender at
Hmm.
potentially a national stage.
Yeah, that's really cool. And really, like, I mean, going into undefeated in SEC play in any sport is really hard. Like, even the Saban teams, there was most seasons they did not go undefeated in SEC play. It's hard to do, and that team was able to do it. Just kind of how special was it to have that in your last year, to even get that fifth year? You said like you weren't planning to play for 5 years. You knew college soccer was going to kind of be the end for you. To get to have that season and then get to end it at the College Cup, take the program to a place it had literally never been before. Just kind of, what was that like?
Oh my, it's still hard to put into words actually. It's been, 3 years since I got to do that run. And to articulate how special that time was is really hard. But I mean, the best way you can describe it is that I could have never written it. I mean, it was the best cherry on top to a career you could ever have, the best accumulation of just everything that goes into it, right? Like myself and Riley had the opportunity to be captains during those last 2 years, and just we didn't really care about the results and didn't really like it was never like, oh, we're gonna go be 10-0 this year. We were just like, we just want this program better than when we showed up in 2018. Like that was the goal. And again, just you kind of start winning games and you kind of start going. And our biggest challenge with ourselves, because again, it's both of our last years, and Matt Crone was also our senior, the senior with us.
Mhm.
So like, we all kind of know like, oh, we're leaving after this, but it's also like you kind of start seeing, okay, well, this is kind of going special. And so try and keep your eyes on next game, next performance, next practice. We were really big on processes and just being like, you know what, we know that the team if we do what we do, the
Mhm.
result's gonna take care of itself, right? And so you start seeing that, and then we it was cool because again going 10-0 in any season is gonna or perfect season in any sport is gonna be hard, and there's always gonna be moments. I know winning the SEC championship against Kentucky at home was one of the I mean best feelings you're ever gonna have in your life, and just seeing the field that was you've we practice on it. We've, cried on it. We've done all these things. And you see like this, amazing success that, we're fortunate enough to be a part of and help lead was incredible. And then, again, storybook ending for me, like my best game that I ever got to be a part of was that Duke one where it sent us to the Final Four. It was last home game of the year. And it was actually my 100th game in an Alabama uniform. It was my last home game ever.
Mhm.
And it's what sent us to the Final Four. And when you look at that, I remember running out on the field. And again, like I never picked Bama because I was like, oh, I'm gonna play in front of, thousands of women's soccer fans, right?
Uh-huh.
That was never, but I remember I ran out and it was stadium packed, like, cars like out parked on the big field. And I literally stopped and like just stared. I couldn't believe it. And it was crazy to get to be a part of, but when I look back on those times, like all those moments are so incredibly fun. But when you ask me like, oh, what's your favorite part about soccer though? Like it's never that stuff. It's the practices that no one saw. It's the, relationships that I still have with teammates and all those things. And so I probably lost your question a little bit in there because now I'm reminiscing, but like it was to have a season like I got to be a part of and to have that kind of be my, goodbye to soccer, like best way to say that I couldn't have written it better.
No, you answered it great. You just wrapped it up great there too. Yeah, I remember that Duke game. Don't tell anyone, but I had to make a fake student ID to get a ticket for that game because the ticket sold out so fast that I had to use my sisters or something to get a ticket later.
Hey, I
But
appreciate the dedication right there.
yeah, I mean, and it was because they set up those temporary bleachers like on the ends
Yep.
of the field, and so it was a packed out stadium that night, just an epic game and some epic moments. Talking speaking of postseason, soccer found out on Monday that they'll make the NCAA tournament, which they knew that, but that they're going to get to host on Friday against Northwestern. Just kind of, you said you've gotten to keep up with this team a little bit. Just maybe what have you seen, and what are some of the keys to playing your best in the postseason?
Ooh, great question. Yeah, it's been fun to watch this team. I try to keep up each season that I've been gone, but especially this one because it's the last year that the girls from my last year,
That
so
you
my
played with, yeah.
2022 run, are still playing, right? And so it's kind of fun to get to see them, go through their careers and their journeys. Obviously, Gianna Paul is having herself a season, with everything, and just getting to see Leah has been, uh, she's gone in and out of the with injury, but like watching her become a leader on that team has been so fun for me. And so, I'm excited for this team. Northwestern's a good team, but there's nothing like playing at home. That Bama soccer field where you have your normal routine, you have your normal rhythms. It's a huge leg up. So I have really high hopes for this team for how they're going to perform in the postseason. That game's going to be a fun one. Performing your best in the postseason, again, it goes, I'm gonna sound like a broken record. It goes back to what's your systems, right? And how do you do the same thing day in, day out? That's really what greatness is at the end of the day. What separates someone from being, okay at what they do and being great at what they do is really, really small. But it's just the fact that they do the same thing regardless of the scene, right? Regardless of what the stage is. I was thinking back like when we were in our last year, like again, it was so we do us and we do the same things that we do day in, day out. Like it doesn't matter who comes across that field. It doesn't matter how many people are in the stands, right? It's the same game. And so for this team, it's, the same things, right? Like they've shown that they can win tight games. They've shown, that there are moments of brilliance, like rely on those times, right? Like that's confidence as you move forward. And so I think it's gonna be a fun one. Like I'm really excited to get to cheer them on, and then one game at a time. That's the best piece of postseason advice that I can give them is that you can't look too far ahead, can't look how far down the bracket you're going to try to get or anything like that. Like right now, the only focus that they should be having, and I know with the coaching staff and the girls that are there, like the only thing they are focused on right now is that next game. So
Yeah, which is they did get a tough draw as an 8 seed because that means you have to match up with a 1 seed in the next round. So it's definitely got to
yeah,
be the focus for now on Northwestern, which I'm sure it'll be a good crowd out there on Friday night. And I would encourage everyone, if you're going to be in Tuscaloosa for the Oklahoma football game on Saturday, if you're going to be here for the weekend, go out and support soccer on Friday night. Kat, do you ever miss being out on the pitch and kind of update people on what you've been up to post soccer? What's life like for a retired D1 athlete?
absolutely. I don't think my body misses it. I won't lie. I don't miss, coming off the field and not being able to move. Now it's a different kind of can't move, like when I wake up. But no, I mean, I 100% miss the girls. Like I said, um, I never really wanted to go pro. Like those were never my aspirations. So again, that's why ending the way I did was such a, big blessing because it was like, oh wow, like that's a great way to kind of say goodbye to the playing side. 100% miss the girls though, and miss the just the day in day out of like you go to practice with your friends, then you guys all go get dinner, and then you hang out for the rest of the night and all of that. Like that's definitely been the part that for anyone that may still be in athletics or wanting to play college athletics, anything like that, like enjoy those moments. You're gonna hear it from everyone, but if maybe a former athlete kind of help like enjoy those moments. Those are the best ones. Um, but I do enjoy watching people play soccer more than I think I enjoy playing it now. Uh, but for me, I'm currently doing my Master's of Business Administration at TCU. So I'm in grad school. I've got about 6 more months on that. And then got the opportunity to work with the athletic department over there, which has been a ton of fun, right? Because it's still a big, Power Four school, but it's vastly different than how Bama operates. A little bit smaller, of a student body. It's a private school versus a public school. There's a lot of differences. Same standard of excellence, at both places, but getting to be a part of that has been really cool. So I work in their NIL and revenue share division. So talking about how different life is, right? Like, when I was in 2018 when I was getting recruited, it was like you couldn't even look at, someone trying to give you anything. And now, obviously, it's a major, hot topic within, college athletics. And
Mhm.
so, myself getting to learn to navigate that, and then, thankfully having, a small role to play in TCU navigating it as well has been big learning opportunity for me. And then also just a lot of fun to get to be around athletics still and still kind of have that competitive spirit, even though I'm not technically on a field anymore.
Yeah, that's really awesome getting to see kind of the other side of how things work and getting to kind of serve student athletes in a different way, like you kind of got to be helped at Alabama. But still, like you said, at a different school with kind of different approaches, but still a really high standard like TCU has. But thanks for taking the time to do this and for joining the show this week.
No, thank you so much. I had a great time. Roll Tide.
I hope you enjoyed my interview with Kat and got to know a little bit more about Alabama soccer and kind of the ways that that program has continued to grow and evolve under Wes Hart and kind of to what they are today. And that you'll go out and support them this week as they host the NCAA tournament. So today, as in the day that the podcast is being released, is National Signing Day. So you can kind of get your first glimpse at the upcoming stars of Crimson Tide Athletics, the new wave. If you'll go check out the social media accounts of whatever team you like the most, softball, volleyball, gymnastics, track, whatever it is, golf, you can go check their Twitter accounts and they will be posting who's signing with them, who are in the 2026 class, and so who you'll get to start watching and supporting next season. But for the rest of the schedule, this upcoming week, Friday is a big day for women's teams. Cross country will be at the South Regional Championship in Huntsville. And as you remember from SEC championships, cross country is very good and we'll have a shot at having individuals win an NCAA title and then finishing really high as a team. So regionals is kind of the first step to that on Friday. So that'll be Friday morning. Volleyball will host Vanderbilt at 6 p.m. At Foster. And then, of course, soccer will host Northwestern at 6 p.m. in the opening round of the NCAA tournament. So if you're coming to Tuscaloosa this weekend for homecoming, if you're an alum and you're coming for the football game on Saturday, but making it a whole homecoming weekend, you have a couple of opportunities on Friday to go out and support some teams. And then also on Sunday, volleyball hosts Missouri at 2 p.m. So you have two chances to go see volleyball this weekend. And then Monday, women's basketball will host Alabama A&M at 6 p.m. in Coleman. Tuesday, swim will be at the UGA Invitational in Athens, and women's tennis will be at NCAA singles and doubles championships in Orlando, Florida. And that wraps up this upcoming week in Crimson Tide Women's Athletics, and that will wrap up today's show. As always, thank you so much for watching and listening and sharing with your friends. Be sure to share it with your friends if you enjoyed. Rate, subscribe, all that kind of fun stuff. I want to thank Kat again for coming on this week. Go check out the Joe Gaither Show on Bama Central, is also part of the Bama Central Podcasting Network. He does a daily show about Alabama athletics, but for today's show, that's it. Thank you so much and see you guys next week.